Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Frontiers of Knowledge. We are all aware that our population is increasing badly, and by 2050 we'll be nearly 10 billion, if not more. And to feed those 10 billion people, we need at least 50% jump in the agriculture production. So, what do? And it's not only the food, it's the quality of the food and the protein content that is required. Do we have that? As population increases, the land under agriculture would decrease, the oceans would be depleted, and for example, the present livestock industry consumes 10% of the world's freshwater fish. So what do? Along with the global change, deforestation, urbanization, pollution of the ocean. What is going to be the state of affairs as far as the food is concerned? And some people are saying that the best bet is to start eating bugs. I agree. Billions of people are even today eating insects and bugs because they're protein rich. And they say they can easily be bred in the city, urban forms, and do not take a lot of land space. It's very easy to do that. And there's a crushing difference. The benefit of the bugs would be there's 1,000 times less water, 300 times less carbon. Agreed. But would the people always be willing to eat bugs? Though billions are eating it, billions are also not eating it, and they simply have a feeling of nausea when they think of eating a bug. It's availability of the bugs, and it's a cultural hesitation about bugs. The other methods are being thought of: precision agriculture, exact number of crops, quicker crops, GMOs, and things. But hold. Before we start eating of bugs, be happy that day is not far off when you can have juicy steaks, burgers, stewed meat, chops, name it what you want, you can have it without any problem. And all this meat would not be the meat you are accustomed to. It will taste exactly like that. It will look exactly like that. But it would be produced in the plants. Are you shocked? Again, this is being initiated by Israel. Israel has said already that they are on the verge of producing such a meat. Modern Agriculture Foundation in Israel. I talked to Yaron Bogen, the CEO, and he told me very clearly that this non-animal meat would be 100% meat, resemble meat's texture, resemble its taste and look. Now, when you eat food, the first thing you think is the looks of the food. Then you touch it, the texture, and then you eat it, the taste. So in all the three aspects, this factory-grown meat would be exactly what you get in the butcher's shop. And this is the salvation, and this is the food that is going to be there in the future. You know, there's a skyrocketing demand for meat and dairy products. So it's important to find high protein alternatives. I'm amazed that even the countries like India, which were primarily vegetarian, are becoming non-vegetarian. And the craze and the desire for meat is rising, and justifiably, because plants do not have that sort of a protein. For example, vitamin B complex, B12. that is found only in meat, at least the absorbed ones. It is there in the vegetables, but in a very insignificant number. So looking at what Israel is doing, USA has a Washington-based Good Food Institute, and they say that the industrialized meat is a possibility. They don't say it's a probability, it's a possibility in near future. And what's amazing is that Bill Gates has also signed up to set up such a company. So Microsoft to the food production, that is it. And it's required. With 80% of our agricultural land is already being used not to grow crops, but to grow food for the animals that we take. And it requires a lot of water, as I said earlier. And when the water scarcity is going to be there, and the land is going to be decreased, this factory-based meat is a real way out. What I foresee is establishment of urban meateries. The breweries used to be for brewing alcohol. Now we'll have meateries. And these would produce meat of the diverse qualities. You see, once the technology is there, then it can be adapted. And it would cost much less than the real meat. Need 99% less land. Would have all the nutrition, all the taste, all the texture. So the people would be able to choose between the traditional meat and the industrialized meat. The difference would be that the industrialized meat or the factory produced meat would not include animal suffering and torture. Now imagine you can have meat and yet be saved from the pangs of conscience which hurt you when you eat meat. Anybody who has been to a slaughterhouse, anybody who has seen the butcheries, knows what the animals go through, the suffering that they have. And they always have a feeling of nausea, a feeling of being uncomfortable when eating meat. So what we'll have would be cellular agriculture. And this cellular agriculture would be devoted to meat. And it's not only meat that will be factory produced. Now that's one thing very important. You've got to see that. You will also get animal-free eggs and milk. Now you might say that we are already getting milk in the shape of almond milk and soya milk. But that's not a dairy milk. And what Jaron Bogan told was that you will get the dairy milk, the taste, the texture, and the look would be the same. Now, almond milk you get might taste weakly of almond, but doesn't taste like milk. It doesn't taste like fresh milk or pasteurized milk. Same is about the eggs. You will be able to break down these eggs to make your omelette or scrambled eggs, but they will be factory produced eggs. Fish, you will not have to go and set up salmon plants, farms. You'll have salmon plants. You'll have bass plants. You will have all sorts of fish produced in different varieties with the typical look, with a typical texture, flaky, fresh, but all will be factory produced. Now, looking at what Israel has done, 100% factory produced meat, the first company has been set up in San Francisco, which are going to say that they are going to produce this meat next year. So next year you can have it, but it will be a very expensive thing because although they can produce, it's going to take FDA at least 5 years to approve it. And that is precisely the time which the Israel has said that they will do it, because they are much more particular about the quality and the nutrition aspect. Now, another benefit of this would be that you can easily store this factory produced meat and also transport it much easier. This would be a cultured chicken, kosher, halal. You can make it, once you are putting in the factory, it's a combination, whether you have a halal or a kosher or a jhatka or whatever. So the technology would be useful, especially for the poor countries, the developing countries, all the countries which suffer from famine and desertification. Imagine people in Sahara regions, where millions die every year because of hunger, starvation. Are you aware that today more than 300 million people in India alone do not have sufficient food? If I look at the malnutrition in the children, it is horrible, especially in the whole of Africa. India is going ahead in the right manner, but with the coming in of this meat, the inhibitions of the non-vegetarians will be taken care of. Now look at this. What's the market today? Because economics is the most important thing. This is a $700 billion worth of market, the meat market. 700 billion. And the beauty is that the present meat manufacturers like Tyson, they have also said, okay, we will contribute $150 million so that this alternative factory produced meat can be produced. I was talking to some people in New York, and then I talked to Melinda, and she told me that her husband Bill Gates, then Richard Branson of the Virgin Airlines, and Cargill, the giant, the commodity giant, they have three entered into a joint venture. It's not in the news yet. It might come in the news in the coming 5 days. So they have agreed to form a joint venture company. And this company would be called Memphis Meats. And it will be developing clean poultry, clean beef, clean pork. So poultry, beef, pork, the three major aspects of meat that is being produced. And now, one thing more, let's not forget it. The moment these three are produced, variations would come up. Then you can have the venison, you can have fish of the various kinds, whether you want haddock or you want salmon will be your choice. So all the variety that is required would be produced in the factory. Hygienically packed, delivered to you where you can store it. Most important thing always is affordable pricing and astute marketing to convince customers. But here, marketing would not be a problem because of the product being identical, not only in looks, not only in texture, but also in the taste, and also from the calorie point of view. So the buzz about the future foods, again, this innovation, this development is creating waves. And once the Israelis came up with this idea and produced the prototype food, the imagination all over the world in the manufacturers has been stirred up. And all the intelligent people and the entrepreneur people are going into this, because this will cut overeating, especially of meat. And the animal protein, which is a dream of the poor people, would be easily available to them. Evidently, this innovation is going to solve the problem in the next 5 to 7 years. And it's a long time before we start eating the insects. They might be good, but they might not be palatable. And hence, this new development is definitely promising better results and comes at the time when we definitely needed it badly. Thank you.